we now have something new. So we have Earl Magnus. What's the story behind that?
Well, this is really the core range of 12 through 15, 18, 25 and 30. The packaging is there, it's established, it's working really well, and the consumers are familiar with it. But it was the collectors and the collectors market are always interested in new and interesting additions, whether it be liquid or whether it be packaging. So we decided to look back in our bottle archive, as we did with the core packaging, and say, well, what inspirations can we get there?
Yeah.
And within that bottle archive, if you like, we found some label sets which we'd actually used 30 years ago, 80 years ago, and probably over 100 years ago, which have been reused and reused in terms of the styling based on Earl Magnus, which we liked those. And we've focused quite closely on clear glass because Highland Park is naturally coloured and there's no spirit caramel added. So if you have that, you normally want to show that off in clear glass, but we decided to break from the norm and introduce a colour into the glass, which as you can see from these. We thought about purple wax or black wax. We're going with black wax. And introducing some embossing and some detailing onto the bottle and putting in a cast strength whisky, so kind of building on the Hjarta idea where we had a 12-year-old at cast strength. This is going to be a 15-year-old with some older whiskies at cast strength too.
Okay. And I noticed from the glass, I don't know very much about glass, as you.
That's okay.
As you know. There's lots of lumps and bumps and bubbles and all that sort of stuff. So how do you go about getting those into it?
Well, not to bore you, but in bygone days, glass was not made in the way it's made just now. It was made with wooden moulds, and it wasn't a very exact science. Things have obviously moved on the last couple of 100 years, and they're very exact. And the kind of glass that we produce for our core range is very precisely made. This is different. This is going back to putting the flaws back in. So there's bubbles in the glass. There's sort of orange peel effects. It's slightly off-centered. It's not quite balanced. And it's just to add some more authenticity into the packaging. So it's a bottle as it would have appeared maybe 100, 150 years ago.
So it's an old bottle with modern liquid in it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's good. And then the guys who make the glass must really, really hate you.
Well, they do and they don't, but yeah.
They must be going, oh no, another marketing guy.
Yeah. What's he saying? He wants imperfect glass. We've just spent 150 years getting perfect glass. Who is this guy? Send him out the building. Actually, they do and they don't hate me for good reason. They love the idea of creating any form of new glass, but it was a challenge for them because normally in seeking the perfect, they have a great tradition of now making glass to a perfect standard, and they've now been given the brief from us, which they've come up with, of making imperfect glass. So it gets all the pointy-headed glass guys in the room, and they start talking about how can we put all these flaws back in but still control it. So for them it was an interesting challenge to begin with, but they did enjoy it. They enjoyed the process.
So this is edition 1?
It is.
How many editions do we think we'll make?
We'll probably do a few more. We'll do edition 2 guaranteed, and edition 3, we'll see how the first 2 go, but I think probably 3, maybe 4 absolute maximum of this.
All right, okay. Okay, and I keep referring to these sort of things, like Hjarta would be a good example, and this as well, as like an affordable collectible.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, well, affordable's a term which is bandied around in the whisky business, but for me this is going to be £75 to £85 price point, 15-year-old cast strength liquid. I think anything below £100 is almost in the affordable collectible. It's for those people who are buying maybe 2 or 3 bottles of whisky a year, it's within their price bracket, and it will be collectible, and it is an interesting piece of packaging. And obviously at the other end of the market, you've got bottles that sell for thousands of pounds or tens of thousands of pounds, and that's not collectible for everybody. So this is more of a mainstream collectible edition. So,
and how many bottles do you think we're going to do this year?
Just of edition 1, we're going to do just under 6,000 bottles is the plan at the moment.
And then for edition 2?
Edition 2, probably the same, maybe slightly less.
It's all up in the air though, isn't it? We can just, it's up for us to decide, I suppose.
Well, it is, and I want to see how edition 1 goes with a 15-year-old liquid, and we can change the ages. We might go older, we might go younger, and I think the most important thing here is the natural strength and the cast strength nature of the product. The quality of the whisky's got to be right. There's no point in just doing a nice piece of packaging with average whisky, because ultimately if people buy this, a lot of people will drink this. So it's not just for looking at.